Hi, this is Coach Ranchod here, and I'm going to answer a question for you that I often get asked about whether or not to apply for a national interest waiver or the EB1. National interest waiver is the best option, in my opinion, in many instances, but not all of the time. So the national interest waiver, let's talk about when you should apply for a national interest waiver. If you're doing research or if you're an entrepreneur and you're doing something that's going to affect the nation as a whole, so let's look at an example of that. Let's look at the current times right now. If you're working on a cure for the coronavirus, which we have one client who's actually doing that right now, or if you are doing cancer research, that's something that's going to affect the nation as a whole. That could be something that would meet one of the prongs under the new NIW standard that could qualify. And you of course have to show that you're going to also have the requirements that enable you to propose the endeavor. Now, that standard is not as high as the EB1 standard. The EB1 standard is a very, very high standard. So if you got an O1 already approved, that is very similar to the EB1, but it's going to be even higher standard than the O1. So my recommendation is that you apply for the national interest waiver over the EB1 unless you have a lot of citations, publications, awards. You have people who are going to write letters on your behalf that are at the top of the field and also can write letters intimately for you. And that's a requirement for both the national interest waiver and the EB1. It's not a requirement for the national interest waiver, but it's going to advance and help your case. And another reason that the national interest waiver is also fantastic is that you can also apply and skip the labor certification and go directly for the I-140. And in some instances, if you're not from India or China and there's no visa backlog, and I'm saying specifically India or China may not apply to allowing you to apply for the 45 because of the visa backlog, but of course that's always changing. And at this time, there is a backlog, but there may not be in the future. So if there's no backlog, then the national interest waiver is also a great option. And if you are from India or China, you might want to look at the EB1A. That's when you can also self-petition like the national interest waiver, but the backlogs are typically not as long as the EB2 preference category, which the national interest waiver is in. If you're interested in the EB1 option and you haven't already obtained an O1 visa, what I would recommend is you start off with the O1 visa before you move on to the EB1. All right, I'm looking forward to talking to you further. Give us a call and schedule a consultation and we can go into depth on what options are best for you. Thank you. Have an amazing day.